Hello everyone, I'm Doris from Susan's family. Today, I'm showing you how to make the colorful fruit bouquet, the worry-free strawberry style. This tutorial's pattern is available on en001.com. Please feel free to view on it. The bouquet consists of two parts, the flower branches and the packaging. We have a separate video for explaining the packaging part. This video only covers the making of individual flower branches. The flower branches include strawberries, flowers, leaves, and the assembly. First, complete the crocheting of each part, and then assemble them at the end. Start by crocheting the strawberries, which come in two sizes. Begin with a larger strawberry. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. After completing it, sew on some beads. Let's get familiar with the chart. In the chart, increases and decreases explanation indicate the stitch techniques and the increase or decrease needed for this round. The total stitches column shows the total number of stitches after completion. The stitches used for the strawberry include single crochet, SC2 in 1, and SC2 tog. Now, please watch me demonstrate the specific crocheting method. Before starting to crochet, let's learn the basic posture for crocheting first. To make it clear for everyone, here I am using thick yarn for the demonstration. The colors are random. For specific yarn details, the color schemes and hook size, please refer to the detail pages and the pattern of our product. First, begin with an adjustable magic ring. Pick up the yarn with your right hand and wrap it twice around your left index finger. Now there are 3 strands of yarn on your index finger. Use your right thumb and index finger. Hold where the loops overlap. Take it out. Then wrap the yarn once around your left little finger. Thread it through between the middle finger and index finger. Transfer the loop to your left thumb and middle finger. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. Move the hook between these 2 points. Insert the hook into the loop. Position the hook to the left of the yarn. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. There is now 1 loop on the hook. Chain 1 to secure. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. 1 chain is completed. Pull tight. Note, the loop on the hook shouldn't be too tight, otherwise, it will be difficult to crochet later. Like this, the magic ring is completed. Now, let's work the first round. First, chain 1 as the turning chain for the single crochet. The turning chain doesn't count as a stitch, therefore, it is not indicated in the chart. When crocheting in rounds, unless there are special instructions, you need to begin each round with a turning chain, and the turning chain doesn't count as a stitch. This will not be repeated again. Then, work single crochets in the magic ring. Insert the hook into the magic ring. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. There are now 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over again, pull through both loops on the hook. 1 single crochet is completed. To the right and above the single crochet, you'll see a V-shaped braid. This is the stitch of a single crochet. Continue to work single crochets. Insert the hook into the magic ring. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. Yarn over again, pull through both loops on the hook. The second single crochet is completed. You need to work 6 single crochets in this round. Continue to work the remaining single crochets. After that, close the magic ring. It's formed by 2 loops. First, gently pull the starting tail of the yarn. You can see one loop moving. Tighten the moving loop. There is one loop remains. Pull tight the remaining tail. This closes the ring. Next, finish with a slip stitch in the first single crochet of this round. I will show you how to find the first stitch. Count back from the stitch on the right side of the hook. The sixth V-shaped braid is the first stitch. Insert the hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Pull through all the loops on the hook. Slip stitch is completed. This is the braid formed by the slip stitch. The joining slip stitch does not count as a stitch. It needs to be tightened to avoid extra stitches later. The slip stitch is not indicated in the chart when crocheting in rounds, unless there's a special note. You should always finish by joining with a slip stitch and tighten it. This will not be repeated later. Like this, the first round is completed. Move on to work round 2. In the chart, round 2 indicated, repeat 1 SC, 1 SC2 in 1 6 times. The parentheses here indicate a pattern repeat. The number after the asterisk indicates the number of times to repeat the pattern. Here it means repeat the stitch pattern inside the parentheses 3 times. Start with the first repeat. Chain 1 as a beginning chain, then work 1 single crochet in the first stitch. Place the starting yarn tail above the hook. Weave in the end as you work. Next, work a SC2 in 1 to the left stitch, which means working 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Pay attention to weaving in the ends. A SC2 in 1 is completed. Like this, 1 repeat of the stitch pattern in the parentheses is completed. I will demonstrate again. First, work 1 single crochet. Then work a SC2 in 1. This is the second time. Complete the third one. After finishing the last stitch, join with a slip stitch into the first stitch. Pull tight. The second round is complete. The starting yarn tail has been weaved in for 1 round. You can trim it now. Move on to the third round. Chain 1 as a beginning chain. For this round, repeat the stitch pattern in parentheses 3 times. Work 1 single crochet. Then work 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Follow with 1 single crochet. This is the first time. Complete the remaining 2 times. After completing, join with a slip stitch into the first stitch. Pull tight. Like this, the third round is completed. Take a look at the texture. On the back of the stitches, there are bumps like this. This side is the wrong side of the fabric. The other side is the right side. When crocheting, keep the right side facing you. Now, I'll show you how to count rounds. The right side of the fabric has these raised textures in circles. Avoid the starting position, and count how many rounds of texture there are. That indicates how many rounds have been completed. You can see there are 3 rounds of texture now, which means 3 rounds have been worked. For the following rounds from the 4th to the 10th, repeat the stitch pattern in parentheses 3 times. Just complete them by yourself. When crocheting, don't forget to start with the beginning chain, and join in the round with a slip stitch. As you can see, this is what we have after completing the 10th round. Now let's move on to the 11th round. Repeat the stitch pattern in parentheses 3 times. Start with the first repetition. First, work 9 single crochets. Then, work 1 SC2 tog. A stitch forms by 2 strands of yarn like this. The strand closer to you is the front loop, and the one farther away is the back loop. Insert into the front loop of the stitch on the left, which is this strand. Then insert into the front loop of the adjacent stitch. Now there are 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, and pull through the first 2 loops. You have 2 loops remaining. Yarn over, and draw through once. A SC2 tog is completed. This method involves picking up only the front loop to decrease. Is called an invisible decrease? Using this method to decrease, the gaps between stitches are smaller. The fabric overall is more delicate. Move on to the second group in the parentheses. Work 9 single crochets first. Then work 1 SC2 tog. Hook through the front loops of the first 2 stitches on the left side. Then yarn over one by one. Draw through the first 2 loops. Repeat twice. Once. Twice. A SC2 tog is completed. The second time is done. Finish the third time. When completed, join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Pull tight. Like this, the 11th round is completed. For the remaining rounds, just follow the pattern in the chart. Continue working until there are about 2 rounds left. Now there are about 2 rounds left. It's time to add filling. Fluff up the filling and stuff it in. Then work the remaining 2 rounds, adding filling as you work. After completing the final round, chain 1 to secure. Leave a yarn tail of about 15 centimeters and cut the yarn. Pull out the yarn tail. Thread it into a sewing needle. Then pass it through the front loops of each stitch. Pull it tight all at once. Don't pull it too tight. Later, you need to insert the flower stem from this closing position. Then weave the yarn tail several times inside the strawberry to hide it. Next, cut a piece of white yarn. Take one strand from it. Thread it into the needle. Fold the yarn in half. Tie a knot with the yarn tail. The knot here can be bigger. Then insert it into the strawberry from any position. Pull the knot inside as well. Then randomly sew some seed beads onto the strawberry. You can finish sewing on the remaining beads by yourself. The number of beads can be random. Once done, weave in the yarn tail inside the strawberry. In this way, one large strawberry is completed. You can use the same method to complete the remaining large strawberries and set them aside. Next, let's look at the small strawberries. The crocheting method is the same as for the large strawberry. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise, but the number of rounds and stitches are different. Refer to the chart for the corresponding numbers. Crochet the required number of small strawberries. Beads also need to be sewn onto the small strawberries. Next, let's make the flowers, which include the flower and the calyx. Crochet each part separately and then assemble them together. First, work the flower. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The new stitches used include double crochet. Please watch my demonstration. First, refer to the chart and complete the first 2 rounds. I have already finished in my swatch. Start with an adjustable magic ring. In the first round, work 5 single crochets in the magic ring. In the second round, work 5 SC2 in 1. Don't forget the turning chain and slip stitch. Then move on to the third round. According to the chart, this round is working single crochets by picking up the stitches from the previous round. There will be 10 stitches in total. You can finish the third round by yourself. When completed, join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. Pull tight. Since the next round requires a color change, here, chain 1 to secure. Leave about 5 centimeters of yarn tail, and cut the yarn. This way, the third round is completed. Next, let's work the fourth round. Take out the corresponding color of yarn. Make a slip knot with the yarn tail. Hold the yarn with the left hand. The square brackets indicate working in the same stitch. First, work the first group in the brackets. Insert the hook into the first stitch of the previous round. Draw the loop through. Slightly adjust the loop size. Join the yarn. Then chain 3. Next, work 1 double crochet in the same stitch, where you joined the yarn. Yarn over. Insert into the same stitch. Pay attention to weaving in the ends. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. There are now 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, draw through the first 2 loops. There are 2 loops remain. Yarn over, pull through. 1 double crochet is now complete. Like this, the first group in the brackets is completed. Move on to the second group in the brackets. Work a double crochet in the left stitch. Yarn over the hook. Insert the hook into the left stitch. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. Yarn over again. Draw through the first 2 loops. Repeat twice. Once. Twice. Another double crochet is done. Work 3 chains. Then make 1 slip stitch in the same stitch. The second group in the brackets is completed. Moving on to the curly brackets. These curly brackets are the same as the previous parentheses. All indicate a group. Start with the first group. First, make 1 slip stitch in the left stitch. Then work 3 chains and 1 double crochet. After completing that, work 1 double crochet in the adjacent stitch. Three chains and 1 slip stitch. This way, you complete the stitches in the curly brackets. Everyone finish the remaining 3 groups. After completing that, join with a slip stitch at the starting point. Pull tight. Then chain 1 to secure. Leave about 5 centimeters and cut the yarn. Weave in the yarn tail on the wrong side. This way, 1 flower is completed. Next, let's look at the calyx. Start with the adjustable magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The new stitches used are ch3 picket. Please watch my demonstration. First, refer to the chart to complete the magic ring and the first round. I have already finished in advance. Then move on to the second round. First, chain 3. Then work a double crochet in the left stitch. which is the second stitch from the previous round. Next, work a CH3 picket. First, chain 3. Then pick up both the front loop of the double crochet and the thread on the left. Work 1 slip stitch. CH3 picket is complete. We will refer to this as picket from now on. Then chain 3. And work 1 slip stitch in the left stitch. The stitches in the curly brackets are completed. I will demonstrate this again. First, chain 3. Then work 1 double crochet in the left stitch. Then make 1 picket. Next, chain 3. Then pick up these 2 threads and work 1 slip stitch. The picket complete. Then chain 3. And work 1 slip stitch in the left stitch. Second time completed. You can finish the remaining 3 times. Follow this method. Join last slip stitch in the first stitch of the previous round. Then chain 1 to secure. Leave about 3 centimeters of yarn tail before cutting the yarn. Pull the yarn tail through from the center of the calyx. Make sure it comes out on the right side of the fabric. Like this, the calyx is now completed. Next, we will assemble the flower. First, take out the flower and 10 pistils. Then hook out 1 pistil in each stitch of the third round of the flower. Fold the pistil in half. Insert the hook from the wrong side of corresponding stitch. Hook the pistil out. After completing, adjust slightly. Next, cut a piece of thin wire about 20 centimeters in length. Pick up 2 threads inside the flower center and insert the wire. Then fold the wire in half. Then glue the bottom of the pistil inside the flower center. Next, take out the calyx. Insert wire from the center of the calyx. Apply a little glue on the wrong side of the calyx. Glue it to the bottom of the flower. After it is securely glued, take out a thread of the same color as the calyx. Wrap it around the wire. Wrap in the reserved thread of the calyx together. Wrap for about 6-7 centimeters and then cut off the excess tail. Like this, the flower assembly is completed. Now let's look at the leaves, which including large leaves and small leaves. Start with the foundation chain, working back and forth in rows. The new stitch techniques used include back loop single crochet and SC 3-in-1. Now, please watch my demonstration of the crocheting technique for large leaves. First, start with the foundation chain. Hold the yarn with the left hand. Hold the hook with the right hand. Position the hook underneath the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. With the left thumb and middle finger, pinch the crossing point of the loop. Position the hook to the left of the yarn. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. This slip knot does not count as a stitch. Slightly tighten, adjust the loop size. Then work 14 chains. Like this, the foundation chain is completed. Move on to the first row. Chain 1 as a beginning chain. Then start from the second chain from the hook. Work single crochets in the front loop of the chains. Which is this thread? Continue until you have one chain left. When you reach the corresponding point, work 3 single crochet in the last chain. Then turn the piece. You can see that, on this side of the foundation chain, there are 2 threads left. Continue working by picking up these 2 threads. Work 12 single crochets. On this side. Do not pick up the first stitch, which is the stitch we just worked the SC 3-in-1 in it. Weave in the yarn tails as you work. Like this, the first row is completed. Now move on to the second row. Chain 1 as a beginning chain. Turn the piece counterclockwise. Both sides of this row are back loop single crochets, which means we need pick up the back loop only. and work single crochets correspondingly. Continue working until you reach the leftmost stitch of the 3 single crochets at the top. Once you reach the corresponding position, then work 1 SC3 in the adjacent stitch, which means making 3 single crochets in the same stitch. Note that here you should pick up both strands of braid to work. One SC3 is completed, then start from the adjacent position. Continue working the single crochet by picking up the back loop. Work until there are 2 stitches left from the previous row. Once you reach the corresponding position, leave the last 2 stitches unworked. In this way, the second row is completed. Continue with the third row. Chain 1 as the beginning chain. Turn the workpiece counterclockwise. For this row, work single crochet in back loop on both sides. First, work correspondingly. Work all the way to the top where you reach the first stitch of SC3 on the left. Once you reach the corresponding position, then work at SC3 into the stitch on the left, which is the second stitch of SC3 from the previous row. Remember to pick up both strands of the braid to work. SC3 is done. Continue work single crochet by picking up the back loop. Work until there are 2 stitches remaining. Once you reach the corresponding position, skip the last 2 stitches. The third row is completed. For the remaining rows, the method is the same as for the second and third rows. Both sides are single crochet into the back loop. In the middle stitch of the SC3 from the previous row, work at SC3 by picking up both strands of the braid. For the last 2 stitches of each row, leave them unworked. Refer to the diagram. Complete the remaining rows by yourself. After finishing the last row, chain 1 to secure. Leave a yarn tail of about 25 centimeters and cut the yarn. Then cut a piece of thin wire about 25 centimeters long. Fold the wire in half, with the right side of the first row of the leaf facing you. Take the folded end of the wire and insert it from the middle of the rounded end of the leaf. When you reach the first row, pass it through the single crochets. When there are a few stitches left, pass wire to the outside. Fold it back a little to secure. Next, weave the reserved yarn tail with the sewing needle. Thread it back through the single crochets of the last row. Pass it to the position of the wire. Then apply a bit of glue to the wire. Start wrapping the yarn tail. Like this, a large leaf is completed. You can use the same method to work the remaining large leaves. The crocheting method for small leaves is the same, but the stitch count and row count are different. Refer to the diagram, and complete the corresponding number of small leaves as well. Like this, the crocheting method for the leaves is now explained. Next, let's assemble the flower branches. They are divided into flower branch 1 and flower branch 2. Flower branch 1 consists of 1 small strawberry, 1 small leaf, and 2 flowers. Flower branch 2 consists of 1 large strawberry, 1 large leaf, and 1 flower. The assembly method is the same, it's just the quantity of flowers and leaves that differ. Now, please watch me demonstrate the assembly method for flower branch 1. First, take out the calyx and the stem. Insert the calyx into one end of the stem. You can use the crochet hook to make the center a bit bigger here. Then take 1 small strawberry. The size of the strawberry here is not for reference. Apply a little glue to this end of the stem. Do not apply too much glue. Then insert the stem from the closing position of the small strawberry. Apply a little glue on the wrong side the calyx. Secure it to the bottom of the strawberry. After completing, take out yarn of the same color as the calyx. At the bottom of the calyx, wrap along the stem. Apply a little glue at the starting position. Wrap the reserved yarn tail of the calyx in together. After wrapping about 3 centimeters, take out 2 flowers on both sides of the stem, about 4 centimeters away from the calyx. Start wrapping. After wrapping a few rounds, take out one small leaf. The size of the leaf here is not for reference, about 2 centimeters from the bottom of the leaf. Start wrapping. Wrap down until you reach about 10 centimeters from the bottom of the stem. You can apply a little glue at any 2 points in the middle to secure it. When there are about 10 centimeters left, cut off the yarn tail. This way, flower branch 1 is assembled. When assemble the flower branch 2, attach the large strawberry first. After wrapping 2 centimeters, add the flower, then add the small leaves and large leaves respectively. You can follow this method to assemble the remaining flower branches. Up to this point, the entire making method for this flower branch has been covered. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next episode.